Today we're talking about attracting, retargeting, and converting people who are coming through to your website, to wherever it is on Facebook, and using the Facebook ads platform with which to do some of that stuff. A little bit about who this is for. It's for those who are familiar with the Facebook Ads Manager. You've at least seen it. You may not have run ads before with it, but you at least know that there's this other platform aside from the boost button. You have a Facebook business page, always a good start. And it's also helpful if you have your own Instagram business profile. So not your personal one, which you share photos of the kids and the puppies, but the one where you share images from your business as well. So if you've got those, that will be fantastic to be able to refer to those as we're going along. A little bit about me, apart from where I am, where I've been is where I am now, which is I'm based in Darwin. I'm very, very fortunate to be able to work with Facebook out of Darwin. They've never asked me to move to Sydney yet. And given the state of the world right now, I'm very happy to be in the Northern Territory for the long term. I have no intention of going to a big town just yet. Some of the certifications they make us get so we know what we're talking about is to be a lead trainer. So Facebook has a very specific program they take us through to learn that, as well as being a digital marketing associate, which is knowing about the platforms and how they work with digital marketing, knowing what the theories and the best practices are. A media planning professional allows us to work with very large agencies and very large budgets that give us the tools we need to be able to give advice in how to plan very large campaigns as well as small ones. And as a marketing science professional, it means that we know where Facebook and social media advertising particularly sits in the realm of all marketing. So we never ever go, hey, put all your money on Facebook, when there's a whole world of options out there, and you should be a little bit present in most of them at least once to see what works for you. And what we'll cover today is the creation of what are called custom audiences. So these are groups of people on Facebook who perform actions against your ads or against your content, like videos. They do stuff with your page, they message you, things like that. And how we then create what's called a lookalike audience, which is saying, you know, those people who we really, really like, the people who are engaging really well with us and doing things like booking, well, find more of those people because we want more of them. We'll look at the process of targeting a particular audience, but then also retargeting audiences that have already dealt with you. People who've visited your website, people who have used your app if you do have one, or people who have interacted with something that you've done on Facebook or Instagram. And when I speak about Facebook, usually I'll be speaking interchangeably between Facebook, Instagram, and Messenger, because they're all one big happy family these days, including a few other products that we don't talk about here today, but includes things like WhatsApp and the Oculus system as well, which is the VR headset thing. It's awesome. And we're going to look at how you might set up a multi-stage ad campaign on Facebook. And that might sound a little bit scary in terms of the terminology there. Multi-stage ad campaign sounds very full of marketing jargon. I'm going to make that seem really, really simple, at least in the understanding of it really shortly. So I'm going to put up our first of our little polls, which is, how do you usually, on the Facebook platform, so Facebook, Instagram, the works, how do you usually do paid promotion? So do you do it through hitting the boost button or the promote button on Instagram? Or do you do it through the Facebook ads platform? This will give me an idea of basically, what it is that you do that you're very used to doing, and gives me an idea of where you're at in terms of the kinds of stuff that you're used to on that platform. So I can make sure I'm talking to the right crowd in the right way. Because sometimes we might throw up a bit of jargon, and please, if you do not understand a piece of jargon I throw in, whack it into the Zoom group chat and let me know, and I'll really explain that. As my mum used to tell me when I was young, the only stupid question is the one you don't ask. So please ask questions. You're never going to look dumb. In fact, the chances are there's 3 other people who are sitting there waiting for someone else to ask that same question. So how we go there with those responses, Stephen?
We've had 60% of people have responded. Here we go. You should be able to see it now.
Great. Okay, so that means I'll change how I go about this a little bit so we can get a little bit more of an introduction to the ads platform as well, because it looks like most of you haven't used the ads platform before. So I'll take you for a little bit of a tour in there so you can see what this ads platform is that I'm talking about. Thanks for responding. I really appreciate that. So the first bit we're going to look at when it comes to the ads platform is the concept of what we call a customer journey. If you've ever sat through a planning session, there's an amazing strategy sessions going on with the Business Enterprise Center at the moment. I know in Darwin, I know that Grant does them with Barbara down in Alice Springs as well. And like they cover things like this, your customer journeys, how your customers find you, looking at those behind the reasons why or why not things may be going the way they are with your business. Apart from those external circumstances, knowing how it is that people come to find and buy with you or order with you or book with you specifically. And the customer journey is usually at its most basic level broken down into three main steps. We've got the step of awareness, which is where they don't really know about you or who you are. They don't really understand who you are. In fact, they don't even know that they need what it is that you do yet. They move then, after identifying that, yes, they now know who you are, to considering you when they are looking for what it is you do. And I'll give you some examples of how that works right now. In fact, if you say somebody is coming to Alice Springs for the first time, so Grey Nomad heading up the track from South Australia, they're crossing the border and Eldunda is their first stop. Then they're going to fill up with fuel, stop, get out the phones if they've got some coverage there, probably not with Vodafone, and they'll be able to then look at what is going on in Alice Springs for when they get there later in the day. So they go, okay, what are we going to do this weekend? What are we going to do this week that we haven't looked at? So what you got is someone who is showing an absolute intent to explore what's going on with your local area. What things are on? Are there festivals? Are there Todmorden markets on? Is Red Hot Arts got something on at the moment? Is there something happening at the casino? Or is it a weekend where there's a major event on? So they're looking for all these things, and if they don't find them, then suddenly that intent, because they're searching around and looking for things that are on, all that data gets reported back to places like Google and Facebook, because the person who runs those websites or runs those networks has a little tiny piece of code in there, which talks back to those saying, hey, this person's doing a lot of searching around for events and things to do in Alice Springs right now. They are showing a strong intent to book. So that signal then says to Facebook, okay, I've got a bunch of advertisers in Alice Springs and the surrounding region that are looking to advertise to people just like that, who have an intent to book an experience or book accommodation or to book a tour or to even book a table for dinner somewhere. And so that's when you start to see that funny coincidence where you're going, geez, how do they know I was looking for stuff right now? Because I'm getting all these ads that are, try this, do this, book this, and experience this. And there's no coincidence at all. It's just that you're showing a behavior that says, oh, this person could really be helped out right now if we showed them something that was relevant to what they're going through. They're looking for places to book for dinner. Well, we should just show them a bunch of places that are ready to be booked for dinner. How that happens from your end as an advertiser is that you address the customer journey with your ads and with who you're targeting in those ads. And we'll look at that a lot more specifically within the platform in a sec. But that's where if they're showing that they're considering you amongst a bunch of things that they could be doing in Alice Springs, at this point, you want to have an ad that's showing up. At the conversion point, which is at the very end of that, where they're actually coming into you, that's where you can have something which jumps in front of them at the point where they're actually showing behaviors of booking. They are at the TCA website, the Discover CA website, or they're at the Tourism Top End website. It's actually showing that they're right there and saying, hey, chances are their concentration will be broken at some point, or they'll have to go and make a coffee, go to the toilet, tell the husband off because he doesn't know how to fill up with diesel the right way. And they'll then be interacting on Facebook or Instagram. And with Facebook and Instagram, knowing that you're doing that, you're searching around there, then it will know that, hey, you're looking for experiences like these. I've got a bunch of experiences to show you, and I know you're looking to book them now. Here's a deal, here's an offer, here's a way of getting a special discount, or just here's an answer to the question I know you're already asking before you've actually asked it. So it's a really smart system that basically just follows what you're doing. In terms of what your intentions are. So if you're looking for answers to questions, you'll funnily enough find those answers popping up. And this is not just on Facebook, you see it on Instagram, But you see it through the Google networkers too. You could be looking at the NT News website, rest in peace, the Advocate website. Gosh, wish we'd get that one back. You'll be looking at the news website or the NT Independent or something like that that's carrying some kind of ads from Google. And you'll notice that, wait, I was just looking to book dinner in Alice Springs tonight, and now I'm getting these ads showing for restaurants in Alice Springs. And that's just simply because the system's smart enough to know what your intentions are, and it wants to deliver you the best possible experience, the best possible answer to whatever the question is you may have, whether it's dinner or booking your stop in Tennant Creek once you pass through Alice Springs. So this is kind of what that customer journey looks like in Facebook's ads platform. Now, we'll look at that live in the ads platform soon, but it covers off different kinds of objectives for different kinds of purposes as you're going along to do your advertising. So if someone has no idea who you are, or they have no intention or no completely, they're not showing any behaviors that tell you that they're going to be interested in what you do, then the awareness stage of this journey is where you can, yes, make them aware of you through a brand awareness kind of ad. And what will happen when you do this is that it will be delivered specifically to people within a set target that you want to set. So it could be, age group, gender, location, any of those kind of very, very easy to identify criteria. And then it'll deliver to people who are known to be people who remember things. They see something and they can recall it later on. So there are people who would see an ad for your particular restaurant, and 5 hours later, they could go, okay, I need to deal with this restaurant thing. What's that thing I saw on Facebook? Oh, it was that Chinese restaurant. Yeah, that's the one. And they'll remember the details enough from it to be able to go and look for you then on Google and make that booking. And they wouldn't have known particularly to go to you unless they'd seen you first in Facebook earlier that day. The reach objective is all about getting yourself in front of as many people as you possibly can. These are not people who are generally people who click on links. They are not people who generally like, share, and comment. They're not really necessarily people who like to fill out lead generation forms or message you. They're just people you want to get in front of because you've got this general feeling that you want to work with. That's great when you've got a bit of time. If you're not trying to convert someone that night for your beef and reef special, this is for when you want to do, when you want to put your message in front of as many eyes as you possibly can, in order to help people to become more aware of you over a period of time. So at this particular end of the journey, you're not going to convert customers. In fact, if you do, you'll be very, very lucky. It's not about converting into a customer at that point or a guest at that point. What you're doing is just putting it out there. That whole thing where people say, oh, you need to advertise to put yourself out there. That's the end that we're looking at with awareness. When it comes to the consideration bit, this is when we're looking at them taking actions, not necessarily buying from you, but at least taking an action to put you in their consideration mold. So they're looking to go to dinner, and they're now considering many restaurants because they've seen lots of ads and lots of posts and lots of results in Google for all those restaurants. So now what you want to do is create something which comes up on their feed that says, hey, if you're going to get me hungry tonight, there's really good bush food available at this restaurant. And you can have an ad that's actually answering that question for them, what to eat for dinner tonight. So generating traffic through to your website in order to maybe get your number to make a booking would be a great thing, or even just to check out your menu. If you're looking for engagement, that's going to be more so if you're looking for people to almost spread the word. The engagement people are what we call the viral people. Which sounds really bad in this day and age to be saying, but what it means essentially is that these are the people who like, they share, they comment, and the actions of liking, sharing, and commenting makes your posts and your ads more visible to the people in their network. So if they're traveling with people up the track, or whether they are, reporting to people back home, depending on the way you've made that ad look, they could see that ad and become more aware of you as a result. A lot of these people meet people along the way and they connect with them on Facebook. And on journeys, and you'll see this with backpackers as well, or with anybody who's sort of couples or independent travelers. They connect with other travelers along the journey who are often going the same way as they are. So when they connect with each other, you're not just putting something in front of that person, you're putting that in front of the people that they know that are interacting with you. And of course, that ad is sent mainly to that kind of person, the kind of person who's likely to share that stuff. App installs is pretty self-explanatory. That's if you want to get someone to install an app on their phone. Video views is if you really want people to see this video and you want to get them to watch as much of this video as possible. So it could be a very important public service announcement. It could be something which is highlighting an element of your experience, or taking a walkthrough of your restaurant or your accommodation. Or it might be showing the amazing views you're going to see from your chartered air service. Generation then is all about pretty much generating, someone to put in their details so you can get back. I don't personally find these to be a very successful ad type. Australians are not as lead generation-y as, say, Americans are. North Americans are very much, here's all my details, get back to me when you can. Australians are still a bit wary. We still think that, oh God, I'm not going to put my details and get more spam. I don't want more spam. So even if they are intending to buy something, we prefer to go through the traffic thing, which is why it's ticked here, to go to the website and engage with that business on our own terms, rather than answer these 15 questions, jump through 13 hoops, and tell me your mother's maiden name, and then you can send us your email address. We may or may not ever get back to you. It's not a fun way to do it. Messages, though, is getting a lot more take up in Australia. That's the ability for someone on your ad or even on a post to send you a private message directly from there. So that if you're calling for people to say, hey, if you'd like to know our availability, message us below and we'll let you know if we've got a seat available for you. Or if you'd like to know our times that we're open, what times we're taking tours through the reptile center, then you've got the ability to have even a chatbot, an automated response, which answers that question for them straight away. It posts a question that says, I want to know what time your tours are. I want to know how much it is. I want to know if this is good for kids. They click on any one of those and then the automatic message will come back. You don't even have to step in. That automated message will say, here's our times, here's our prices, and hell yeah, we're great for kids. So you'll have all those different kinds of ad type that are geared towards people who are most likely to respond to something through that. And then finally on conversion, this is where the rubber hits the road, where someone's literally going to click that book button or the buy now button on your website. They may click on it through your catalog sales, which is a feature that will be much more important when you're selling a physical product that you can touch and feel and take with you. And store visits is something you can measure through a bit of technology that goes into, say, your point of sale system, where you're able to track back someone through something like their email address. So if in your POS system, you're going, hey, can I just have your postcode, or can I just have your email address so we can send you your receipt? And that'll immediately say, okay, we know at Facebook's end, that person started their journey towards you by an ad that they saw 3 months ago, and another ad that they saw last week, and then this ad that they saw this afternoon, and all three of those can attribute this sale. So you can then really know granularly, that's a new word, granularly, as to exactly where that shopper came from, and you can track them along the way. So it gives you a lot of very, very specific data. Now that is not the easiest thing to set up. There's some fantastic systems that will do that for you. It's not widely done in Australia, but I can tell you that it's definitely widely done in very large chains. So things like Myer down south and some of the bigger fashion names have definitely done that, because that attribution to know where that person came from, so they know where to spend their money on in the future, is really super important to them. I had a quick question come up from Mary, who's asking, how do you boost on Instagram through stories? You don't boost Instagram stories so much, you boost an Instagram post. So there's such a thing called promote. You can promote a post on Instagram directly. Otherwise, you can also you can send an ad to Instagram through the Facebook ads platform as well. So you don't even have to go to Instagram necessarily to bring that through. But if you're looking to do the equivalent of boosting, which is called a promoted post, then you can just do that directly from the post in Instagram. As long as you're logged into your business account, you can hit a button that says promote, and that allows you then to make that into a paid ad that goes through. And you'll be able to track that as well through your Facebook ads platform as a big sort of aggregated place where you can find out the data that's happening, whether you're in Instagram or you're in Facebook. Good question, thank you. All right, so the best campaigns cross all three stages of this journey. So you've got the awareness, consideration, conversion. The best campaigns over a long period of time are usually run where they say, do a reach part of the campaign at the beginning to let people in their potential target know that something's happening. Then they'll go to a traffic campaign, which retargets people that it might have reached. So it retargets them with a new ad that says, hey, we know you love this. Here's your opportunity to book now before the rush. And if that person has viewed that traffic ad, we can then go, well, if someone has interacted with you in that lifetime, say 30 days, we're getting real close to when they're getting to town, we can have a conversion ad that leads them directly to the book now button on your website as well. So it is pretty sophisticated. The best campaigns do a little bit of awareness, do a little bit of consideration, and do a little bit of conversion. Most small businesses can usually get away with just doing the awareness and the consideration. Jumping straight to conversion and jumping straight to consideration sometimes is going to be fraught with problems, because very few people who are looking to buy things are looking to buy your thing having not heard of you, not knowing who you are, not knowing where you are. They just see something pop up and say, oh yeah, I'll do that. They want to develop some rapport, some kind of familiarity with what you are and what you do. So we're going to ask our second poll, which is those of you, I guess, who have used the Facebook ads campaign. I'd be really interested to know how many of you have ever used something like a multi-stage campaign. So where you're getting a little bit out of that awareness phase, a little bit out of the consideration phase, and a little bit maybe out of the conversion phase as well. Or an answer no if you have no idea what all that is and it sounds like a whole bunch of gobbledygook, because it can be a pretty intimidating thing to start off with. And this will give us an idea about those who have. I can sort of speak a little bit to you and say, hey, it'd be interesting to hear your story on this. For those who haven't, hey, we'll jump straight in. So we've got some answers there yet, Stephen?
Well, 10 out of 22 participants so far. We've got 50% in. Give it another couple of seconds, everybody.
And I'll sip my coffee. That is one strong coffee.
All right, I think it's pretty stark. Let's end the poll there. Here we go.
Okay, as I expected, most of us have not run these before, and that's great. That's really good, because you're probably at this point where you're going, this is something you can really learn from. So what we're going to do is go live on Facebook now to one of my ad accounts, and I'm going to show you. I've got the right screen. Can you still see my screen there, Steve?
I can. Yep, you've just dropped it. Let's go live, and then it's kind of paused for me. Not sure if.
Okay, I'll just reshare my screen. See my hello, and I'll reshare the screen so you get a new version of it. Okay, you should now be able to see a really inspiring grey screen with a little bit of blue and a little bit of green here and there. This is the Facebook ads platform. It's not a very inspiring place, but the power of what it does is quite phenomenal. It's just not particularly inspiring. Now, this is what we call the guided version of the ads platform. If you get prompted when you go into the ads manager, so if you go to facebook.com/ads manager or business.facebook.com/ads manager, you may be faced with a choice, and it says, do you want to get a guided campaign, or do you want to do a I'm trying to remember what the other one is now. It's like it's not the guided one, put it that way. Select the guided, because it's going to take you through all the steps in a logical order, where you select one thing, then you select the next thing, then you select the next thing. The other campaign type is it skips over a lot of things and leaves out a lot of the detail, which is quite important, especially when you're doing this multi-stage thing. Now, once I get to this screen, this is showing me the performance of a whole bunch of other campaigns I've had in the past. So for one of my businesses, ClickStarter, a little bit that I've done for various other campaigns, for a little bit for Qantas in there as well, a bit for an app, even more, there's a specific remarketing one I've done there. And it tells you, what I've managed to gain out of that particular marketing campaign. And it gives me performance such as how much I spent on those different campaigns along here. And it tells whether it's currently ongoing or whether it had a hard end date. So these ones are all ongoing, but they're not currently active. So it's giving me a place where I can see the results in one big dashboard, telling me what I'm doing. But it can also then show me, it lets me create something new. So I'm just going to increase the size of my screen slightly for you so it's a little bit easier to read. So if those of you who might have fuzzy connections can see what's going on.
That looks good for me.
In here, yeah, it's good for you. All right. So the green button here, create, is where we're going to start our journey through creating this particular campaign. What we're going to do is essentially create a piece of campaign that starts in that awareness zone. We're going to make people aware of who we are. Then directly after that, we're going to get people to be retargeted based on whether they were exposed to that particular ad or whether they viewed the video in that ad. And I like video ads because quite simply they stand out more and they outperform static images by a long shot. So where you can try and do some video ads, if you need help with doing that, there's a lot of tools that allow you to do some degree of video. Canva now has a lot of video templates you can use. One of my favorites is called Crello, C-R-E-L-L-O. But I think the granddaddy of video editing that I use is it's like a $49 US lifetime deal, never have to pay again, is a thing called InVideo, I-N-Video. If you look for that one allows you to make some really good dynamic video ads that really stand out and have all templated. It's like Canva, but for video. That's the best way I can describe it. It is an excellent resource. And a lot of the kinds of templates they've made have been geared towards specific industries. So dining is there, tours are there, travel is they've got a lot of travel templates there. So that you can essentially drop in the photos and videos from your experiences into that video template, and it's then nice and customized for you. So we're gonna start creating, first of all, a video ad. So it's gonna prompt me to do something with an old ad that I was doing. This is where I'm going to be, being in an election year in the NT and also in the US. It's probably are we making ads for something in a specific special ad category, such as social issues and elections and that kind of thing. We're not doing that, so we're going to skip that little section. Down here, we see that awareness, consideration, conversion bit we were talking about before. We can start to see those different options, exactly the same as I laid out. The first step I want to do is set up this reach campaign. And in this reach campaign, I want to give it a name. So let's just say, we're going to actually choose someone's business here. So who do I know? I know Trek Tours Australia, I can see on there. So I'm going to look up a little bit about Trek Tours Australia. Sorry to use you as an example, but I thought it might be a bit of fun. So Trek Tours Australia is going on tours through, through Central Australia, through some very beautiful country. Some gorgeous tour. Oh my goodness, look at your photos. What am I doing sitting in an office when I could be doing this stuff? Looks amazing. All right, so in amongst what we're doing there is we're going to say Trek Tours, top of funnel reach. When I say top of funnel, I just mean if we had a very big giant funnel, we're throwing people into the funnel and out the bottom drops a customer or a guest. That's the kind of funnel we're talking about. So I'm telling you that this is the first stage, at the top of the funnel when someone first drops in. I'm going to continue that. And it's going to ask me what page do I want to associate this with. Now, unfortunately, I'm not a part of the Trek Tours Australia page, but I'll click my own entity there. And it's telling me straight away over on the right that I can expect to have an ad based on an average campaign amount that I'm going to spend, and what I've got 18 to 65-year-old Australians. I've got the potential to reach 17 million people at a rate of about 2,300 to 6,700 a day, depending upon what's happening on the platform that day. Now, as I move down here, I'm looking for creating an audience. Now, I'm just going to, for this stage, just choose people who are living in or recently in this location. But what I want to choose is people specifically who are traveling in the Northern Territory. You can see my awesome typing now. So they're traveling in the Northern Territory specifically. Now, we can get a lot more specific than that. We can say they're actually traveling through Alice Springs, or even traveling in various postcodes. If I was to say, Earl Dunda, they're around that roadhouse. If they're in Yulara, if they're in Alice Springs, if they've moved on to Tennant Creek, we can actually start to track them going up. In this case, I just want people who are traveling in this location and will have some kind of relevance to what I'm advertising. If I'm wanting to look for grey nomads, I'm not looking to look for 18-year-olds. I'm going to look for people who are 55 and above, because they're the ones with the 15 investment properties that are paying for these long trips. So 55 to say 65, let's bring it down to make big 50. These guys did really well in the stock market. We want to send it to all genders. That's fine. We don't want to necessarily do that, but we may want to look for some interests. So if I click edit on this one, I can then start to, it'll give me a few suggestions and say, I'm looking for these kind of things. Well, not really. These are all business types. That's usually what I'm advertising to. I'm advertising to consumers. So I'm going to type in grey nomad as an example and see if that actually exists. No, but it might say caravans. So we've got a few caravan travelers. Yep, there's an interest there. So I definitely know I'm picking up caravan travelers. It's saying, and I know this is rubbish because more than them crossed on the first day in the territory when the borders opened. It's saying there's probably fewer than 1,000 people who are active on the Facebook broad platform who are in that set of criteria. So traveling currently in the Northern Territory between the age of 50 and 65, and they're caravan travelers. Now, that's a pretty specific audience. It's even telling me though, I may reach quite a lot of them depending on what I'm going to spend. So I'm thinking, okay, that doesn't look so bad. Fewer than 1,000 people, that's okay, because I want a specific kind of people that I'm reaching. I don't want to reach the whole world because it's not relevant. So as I start going down, I can say placements. Now, placements is about where you want to have your ads showing on somewhere like Instagram or Facebook or stories. At the moment, I would say keep it simple and go to automatic placements, and it's going to put you almost everywhere. We move down now to the budget and the schedule, how long we're going to run it and how much we're going to spend. Now, a good rule of thumb for such a small area, look, if $5 a day is reaching between 269 and 777 travelers moving through the Northern Territory who are interested in caravans, that's a pretty good budget. Over a month, it's roughly $150. So you're not looking at a massive, massive budget to reach very, very, very specific people. You might want to narrow that down even further. You might want to say, well, they're interested in Jayco caravans or something like that, or camping. I reckon this caravan one is just fine. If they're grey nomads, that's the whole purpose of their life. That and their dog that they must have stay at your caravan park. If you don't have dogs staying at your caravan park, get ready to hear about it. I've been there when people have done it. Poor caravan park owner in Catherine. Oh, it was a hard day, that one. So the budget of $5 a day, you can also set a limit over a lifetime. So if I want to set a lifetime budget, I can say, I can start it on the 22nd of the 7th, run it to the 22nd of August. Let's reset that date because I'm taking my time working through, and say that I want to spend over that month, $150. It's like, yep, we can do that. We can do $150. With $150 over that month, it will reach that many people each day, not over the campaign, but each day, because it understands that there's different people moving into the Northern Territory every day, coming through the Barkly, coming through Kununurra into Catherine, coming up the Stuart Highway from South Australia. So it's knowing that that's going to change every single day. And as that person shows their movements, because these little phones of ours, they track everything. And then they have Facebook apps on them. That's what tells them that they're actually on the move and that they're also interested in caravans. That's easy to pick because, you know, they're grey nomads traveling, and they're showing that everything they talk about, every group they're on Facebook has something to do with caravan parks, fifth wheelers, you know, wiki camps, anything like that where people are going to stay and get information about what's good and what's not, whether Wycliffe Well is worth stopping at or whether you should just continue on to the Devil's Marbles. So once we've got that, we want to run it for a month. We want to do it over a lifetime budget of $150, which is not a huge amount to spend. Now we start looking at what we want to do as an ad. So it's saying straight away, because my Facebook page is connected to my Instagram profile, it's saying, yeah, we're going to put it out to both of those. Is that okay with you? Yeah, of course. I want it to go everywhere. You can now start to format your ad, and it gives you a couple of choices here. The carousel, which you might have seen, which allows you to have lots of different photos, up to 6 different photos that you can sort of swipe through on a phone or click through to see the different ideas. So you might have different variations of your meals, accommodation, different tours, photos from your tours, different aircraft, different guides and hosts that you can highlight in that ad. Or you can have a single image or video. I'm going to have a single video because I think video does a really good job. Carousels are great, but I really like video as a way of grabbing attention. So as I move down, I'm looking for what that video is. So I'm going to add, it says here to add an image, but what I'm going to do is clear that out. So I want to add a video. So it says add media, add a video, and I'm going to upload a video, or I pick up one that I've already got. You see, I've got a fair few in here for that particular app that I was advertising there for a while. Let's pick a fun one that's actually got a bit of action to it. I don't know what this is for, but let's pick it. I think they're making coffee in this one. So once I've done that, it's going to give me then a preview here of what the video is going to look like and what all of this writing is coming from. Now, it's just picking up a bit of default information from one of my clients. I can type over the top of that. In an ad, you never want your text to go any more than the space that you can see before the see more. Because the reality is nobody wants to click on there to see more. You need to get that information in those three there. In fact, the highest converting ads on Facebook and Instagram have one line of text. If you can get that down to one line, if you really can, and I know you've got a lot to say about your business, we all do, but if you can get it down to one line, you have the best chance of getting someone to click on that ad. If you go to the 3 lines, it drops almost in terms of after one line, you drop about 30% of people. When you go to the second line, you're dropping nearly 70% of people by the time you hit line 3. If you hit line see more, it's still about that 70%, but less than 10% of people who even get that far are going to click on there to see more. If you can't say it real, and I've got this from my old radio days, if you can't say it in 15 seconds, don't say it. So it's like, be really brief, because the time that someone's got to be grabbed by what you're saying is very brief. So let's just say if we're doing, we're working with Trek Tours Australia, we're going to say a view of Australia, I'm going to say a view of the Red Centre. You'll never forget. And that's all we need to say, because the video is going to say it for us. The video is going to have the amazing sweeping vistas of Kings Canyon. It's going to have the amazing views and the red dirt of the Larapinta Trail. It's going to have all those different elements that are going to come in that video. Use your video and your images to tell the stories that you don't get a chance to tell in the text, because no one's reading the text. And if they are, they're just reading so little of it. If it grabs them, a view of the Red Centre, you'll never forget. Well, I'm traveling in the Red Centre. I'm interested in that. Wow, you've automatically hit what it is. And you're talking about me. It's the trip I'll never forget. It's the view I'll never forget. It's not saying what you're great at. It's saying what they're looking for. They're looking for an experience. That could just as easily be the cheapest chicken palmy in town. And that speaks directly to that same crowd, because when they go to eat out, they want that cheap chicken palmy. You don't have to explain that you've been in business for 30 years. Just quietly, no one cares. No one cares you've been in business for 50 years. You care, but the person who is actually looking at this ad, they don't need to know that, because it's not relevant to them until they get to your website and they can read more of that stuff. But for now, you need to grab them with something they want. What do grey nomads want when they're coming through the centre? They want a clean place to have the ablutions block. They just want a damn good ablutions block. They want to be able to wash their clothes, hook up the fifth wheeler. Whoops, we've just lost our... There we go. I got a little carried away there. They want to hook up the fifth wheeler. They want to eat cheap food that's not going to kill them. These people like bakeries. They like fish and chips, and they like food they know. And they want experiences which they can boast about to the kids back home and take photos of. So if you can provide that and make your ad point to that, even say things like that, get the photos that will make your kids jealous. You know, it's things like that that actually speak to what their motivations are rather than what your motivations are. It makes a massive difference when you're doing an ad. Creatively, you can go really out there, but try to have photos that involve people enjoying what you do, not just flying over it. People immersed in your experience, not just a photo of the food. People eating the food. Add people to it, and then they can start to picture themselves in there as well doing that. Then we're going to add a link to your website so people can actually get to you if they wish to. This then opens up another little section underneath. So we can write a little headline down there that says something like, check our range of tours. Really, really simple. Just a little call to action saying basically, just check our range of tours. I'm going to grab Trek Tours Australia there. So you see, as I add these little fields, it's going to read, there you go. We've got trektoursaustralia.com.au. Check out our range of tours, if that fits. And you want to make sure it tries to fit either within one line or fits within up to underneath the of there. Online now.
Can you change the learn more button to other words, Dante?
Yeah, absolutely can. See, as we go further down, you'll see the call to action there. We can change that to a book now. Now, just remember where this stage this client is at, this guest is at. They're not necessarily at the point of booking your tour yet. They're getting to know your tour. They're getting to know what you've got to offer. So a learn more will feel a lot less aggressive than, oh, what, if I click this, I'm going to book it? Oh, no, I'm not going to book it. I just want to find out more about it. When you're further along the journey, then you put in things like book now. So right now, we just want them to learn about them. You got a beautiful video with all this lovely stuff going on. They'll automatically come up in their feed and get their attention. You're talking to them because they want to have an experience they never forget. And they want to check out the range of tours online because that tells them, oh, there's more than just one. Oh, good. Okay, well, we'll get the cheapest one because they always try to go for that. Or they'll at least go looking for the particular tour that appeals to them. So you're not really boasting about what's so great about you. You're boasting about how you're able to match what the customer wants from you, what they want rather than what you want to sell. That whole thing of selling the sizzle and not the sausage is an old advertising term. This is what you're doing. You're selling what it means to them rather than what it means to you. So now we've created that. All these other settings are not really that important for you at this stage. We're going to confirm that and we're going to create this ad and it's going to tell me that it's going into review. Facebook is now going to review my ad. It's going to make sure that I haven't broken any rules and it's going to make sure that I'm doing the right thing. Now, what I'll do straight away is I want to turn that off because I'm not going to put out an ad for Clickstarter with coffee and an ad about a webinar for Poor Trek Tours Australia, who've now got a link coming through from something they don't even know what it is. But all publicity is good publicity, I guess. I'm just going to turn that off so we don't have it coming through. The second stage, and we'll try to wrap this up as soon as I can. The second stage is then, let's just say you've got a bunch of people who have come through to your website. You want to then create a second campaign that targets those people. Now, we're not using an existing one. We want to create a new one. And we're going to create something that's absolutely about getting people to your website to make that booking. So I'm going to consider traffic. We're going to call this book retarget book tours. Continue. Now this time, yes, we're going to go to a website to make that booking, but instead of doing all this stuff down here, picking out, where our people are, we're going to create what is called a custom audience. See, we've got custom audiences here. We're going to create new, and we're going to create this custom audience. It's about reaching people who've already had some kind of interaction with your business. Doesn't mean they've walked in the front door or anything like that. It just means they've had some kind of interaction. And by interaction, we can choose what that interaction is on your website, if you've got the Facebook pixel installed there. Whether you've actually added your email list, your MailChimp list, or your customer list up in there. Whether they've viewed a video, that sounds really good considering we just did a video ad. Whether they've interacted with your your Instagram account, or even your Facebook page, or RSVP for an event. These are all things you can target towards. So in our case, we're going to video ad. How about just look at the video? People who viewed the video. It's like, okay, well, you want to do video, choose what the video is and they need to have viewed of it. If it's a minute long, I'd like to get people at least for 15 shows they've got a real interest. So I'm going to choose what they call through play. It's the one that the algorithm really prefers. And I'm going to say which video that they specifically viewed. So in my account, that particular video you can't see, but I can pick one that's from, say, any of my clients or myself. Let's just say Clickstarter. Actually, there is the video right there. So 9,232 people in the past have viewed that, at least 3 seconds of that video. I'm like, well, that sounds like a great candidate. Let's look for that. And it's saying, okay, that's the one you want to choose. Let's confirm that. It's now building an audience of people who in the last year have viewed that video for at least 15 seconds. I'm going to call that my damn good video viewers list. And then it allows me to create that audience. Now it's going to go and look all those people up over the next 30 minutes and calculate that and go, yep, no worries. You've now got that audience. It's telling me though, that I'm likely to reach, probably less than 10 a day on that. but that's okay. I can't handle any more than 10 a day of those people. That's fine. I only want a few of them because I'm only going to spend a little bit of money. I don't have to narrow this down now because these are people who have previously been targeted as being in my age group that I want. So I don't have to redefine it then, but I can. If I want to redefine that and narrow it down to my grey nomads again, I can. I can say that audience if I want to, because I want to use this again. But for now, I'm going to, yes, do automatic placements. And I'm going to spend a daily budget of $5 again, just as a guide price, or do my lifetime budget, maybe spend a little less this time. I'm going to spend $90 this time over the month. Now we get to make our second ad. So I'll pick the business I want to match it to. And it's given me a few other things. It's given me carousels, images and videos again, a collection. Knowing that this person is far more likely to want to book an experience, they're more familiar with me now, I'd just do a carousel and have a few of my different tours there. So it shows something that looks a little bit like this. I'm going to put Trek Tours in there again. And then I can go into my account and select images that I've already loaded up to my page, or I can load new ones up. So in panel number 1, select myself an image. It's going to pick all the images that are on my account. Let's stay away from the coffee so we can find anything else. There's a lot of images. Find something. Let's go. We'll go for the pink twins. Now, you'll probably notice what it's already done. It's gone and picked out some stuff from the Facebook, from the page I just selected. So when I put this URL in here, it's automatically going, oh, I'll just pick up some photos directly from there and show you what it looks like, which is really clever. It's automatically picking that up. So I go, well, if it's already doing that, let's just let it do that. We're going to say 1-day tour. Explore the outback. We go to the second one. I'm going to go half-day tour. A taste of the center. Third one, and it's picked another photo, I think, because I can't see it, but I'm guessing it has. And our headline might be something like Billy T and Damper time. I'm just making up tours here. And we can have it like an authentic Aussie experience. So each of these are going to go to the same place, but they're picking up different ideas, different themes that are going on in there. Now I'll put that in. I can then add the text at the top. I'll go, which tour will make your kids jealous? So go on to the 2 lines there. I might pull that down a bit. There you go. So I'm cutting it down again. I'm letting the pictures speak for themselves. I want it to go to Trek Tours Australia. So anything they click on, I want it to go to the right website, or it can go directly to the page. Each one of these gets its own link. So you can link directly to the tour. And then we can go book now. So what we've done, we've said, people have already seen our first ad, who viewed that video in the time frame we set, a year, a month. You can set 30 days, 14 days. Then you're able to target them very specifically with something which is so related to what they do, and they already know who you are because they've interacted with you before. So the trust factor is much higher now than what it was when they first came in. And if I confirm that, now this becomes this ever delivering ad system. People are coming in at the very beginning because they've just arrived in there. Don't worry, I will turn off that ad so you're not getting weird traffic coming through again. Come on, you can do it. Update. And then as people are passing through town and moving on, you can then, there's still more people coming in. So the longer you run it, it keeps bringing new people in as they're moving through the territory. So it's an amazing way for you to be able to not just advertise directly to the people who are there, but it's the ones who are coming as well. And it keeps delivering for you because you're picking, in the original case, people who are traveling in the NT, not people who are living here. You're not targeting locals. You're targeting people who are traveling in and through. Then you're able to then retarget them as little as 24 hours. In fact, as little as one day, you can then say, take them from not knowing who I am to giving them an opportunity to book me. Now they've had 24 hours to get to know me. They've viewed my video. They may have viewed my website. Now they can see a bit more. So yeah, there's a lot there to take in, but that is the basis around how you would do something like this. This is how you would do a multi-layered campaign, a campaign that goes for longer than just, say, for instance, doing just a video ad that goes to a few people. You've got the ability to be able to get hold of them, retarget them again, and you can then also go further and then retarget them a second time if you need to. It means you're actually serving things that people are interested in. So we'll just do a recap. We looked at creating custom audiences. Now, we didn't quite look at the lookalike audiences, but what that essentially is when you select a custom audience, you can select instead lookalike audience, and it says, of these people I've identified, those people who viewed my video, go and find me more people just like them. The people that haven't really, been identified as being in this particular group, but they're just like these people, go and get those for me. Show me them and show them this ad. So it lets you then broaden that out beyond just the people who've interacted with you and gets the people who are just like them. We looked at targeting, which was, selecting those demographic details, age, location, and then retargeting, where we said, let's pick out people who've already done something with us, who've already done some sort of interaction with us. And the idea of how you might set up a multi-stage ad campaign is you do one and you allocate a small amount of budget to that. Then you do the second one and allocate a small amount of budget to that one as well. So a quick poll before we wrap up. We've got one about here, how you learn digital marketing the best, because I've got a couple of ideas for you as we wrap up that will make this learning thing a lot better. Whether you're an online learner or an in-person learner, that helps me to plan my trips around the territory so that I can go, hey, if we've got enough people who really are in-person people, heck, let's get down to Alice Springs and do something. Let's go to Katherine and do something. Let's rock up in Tennant Creek and actually do a live event. And Facebook are looking at doing a lot of these. A bit of travel restrictions on Facebookers at the moment. We're not allowed to travel outside of our home area. I've got a very large home area called the Northern Territory, so I'm sure I can fudge the rules a little bit. But if you're someone who does learn well online, we'll be running lots and lots of free things like this all the time, and continuing to work really close with TCA and with TTE as well to bring a lot more Facebook and Instagram stuff, and getting a lot more from the very basics right through those really, really specific things that you need to have answered. There's lots in there. How are we going for those onlines and in-person, Stephen? Like definitely in person. I reckon we're all zoomed out, aren't we? It's been a long Zoom season, I reckon. Thanks very much for that. I appreciate it. If you are willing to do a little bit of online learning, these two locations are where everything you can find out about Facebook in Australia is. The first one is the Blueprint, and you can find that as anybody who's got an account with Facebook can go and learn everything to do with running a business on Facebook. Step-by-step tutorials that take between 2 and 8 minutes. You can do one a day if you want to. You can do one a week if you want to. They're self-paced and they're really simple to learn. They give you exactly examples of how to do those things. All those things we looked at, as well as the most basic and most complex things. But what I'd really like you to do is to join the Boost with Facebook Australia group, where myself and other Facebookers, so there's a team of 7 of us who are in regional Australia. So I've got pretty much everything north of Brisbane. I've got the biggest territory of all. And it's giving you access to us, basically. If you've got a problem with operating your business on Facebook or Instagram, this group has us and a bunch of other Facebookers in Sydney and in Singapore. And I think there's someone in there from California as well. We monitor this group every day and we answer every question that comes up in it. If you're just answering a question as part of someone else's comments, it's probably not best to do it that way. Do it in your own post. But we make sure we answer every single question the best way we can by pointing you to where the answer is, or if it's something that we can help with straight away, or get opinions from other business people, we invite them in to say, hey, what's your experience been with this? Maybe you could help out Fiona with what she's going through with her business, or what Danny just mentioned that he would like to try and solve. What would you do? businesses of Australia. So this is dedicated to just Australian businesses, and the support in there is 7 of us in the Facebook Community Training Network, and a couple of people in Sydney at Facebook's Australia headquarters, and someone in Singapore's headquarters as well. So we're right there. Use the resource. It's right there to give you help with live, real people who can answer your questions for you. Thank you so much. You can get in touch with me via these details. I'm very easy to find because I've got a stupid name. So thanks, Mum and Dad, for that. There's not a lot of Dante St. Jameses out there, and none of them are as ravishingly handsome as I am anyway. But thank you so much, Stephen. I'll hand back to you, and hope to hear from a bunch of you again.
Thanks, Dante. And I mean, going from the responses in the chat and also at the start of the meeting, it's been highly engaging, and you obviously love what you do. You're very confident in sharing. We've done it a million times, and that shows for us, especially us who want to grapple with this big Facebook ads system, but then also utilize it in our own businesses. So thank you. It was
so good. There's actually someone actually in the territory. I'm sitting in the office in Berrima right now. I can see red dirt out to the right. I can see a white wall on the left. That's not very inspiring. But I'm actually here in the territory. So if you ever run into me at networking events, Tourism Top End, Skull, I get down to Alice Springs 3-4 times a year. I'm in Catherine every month. Please come and grab me. Ask me questions. That's what Facebook pays me for.
Thank you. And I mean, obviously we've gone over time right now, but I would love to open this up to a couple of questions. So if you guys do have questions, put them in right now. What I'll do is I will start with Annabelle's question, what she said a little bit earlier. She said, Dante, is there a general rule of thumb about what amount you would recommend to allocate to a campaign? It's a question that she gets when she outsources the work and never know how much to allocate to budget.
Yeah, it's always that magic question that we, as marketers, like to ask you. So, how much should we? What's your budget? You're going, I don't know. How much should I budget? I would say, in the case of most smaller operators, you don't really need to spend more than $5 to $10 a day on any step of that campaign. And that keeps it between that $150 to $300 a month level, which, some is going to be really, really, really like pushing it. But for some of you, you go, well, it's a hell of a lot cheaper than television, so maybe I will. So start off at $5 a day. That's $150 a month. That should be within the budget of most operators. If you're a larger operator who needs to get a lot more people, so if your capacity for, say, Walk Darwin may be to have no more than 6 people in a group, then you don't want to be advertising, getting 1,000 people booking because you can't actually meet that capacity. But if you're AAT Kings and you've got 3 buses and you can put 50 people on a bus every journey, well then having 1,000 people book at once isn't such a bad thing because you've got a lot of buses to fill. So the bigger you are, the bigger your capacity is, the more you will spend because you need more people to jump into that funnel. But yeah, I think most small operators, and I think that's most of who's on here, between $5 and $10 a day is completely fine.
Thank you. Another question I've got here is, I know you touched about the lists that we've already got for customer lists. So just thinking about the privacy implications of that, are there privacy implications for loading customer lists into Facebook?
So the privacy implications are there that you first of all got to have your customers who have given you access to get your newsletter. They've got to have explicitly given you permission to market to them. So it's you that's marketing to them, not Facebook. So you've got to make sure that you've previously got that permission from them. The Spam Act of 2003 does give you a lot of leeway there. It allows you to be able to have people who have specifically opted in or who've had some kind of prior relationship with you. If they're from absolutely nowhere, well then, then you're spamming them and they have a right to be a little bit annoyed at you. So just use your best, follow the Spam Act pretty much. If you don't know where that is, just look up Spam Act 2003 and they'll give you a lot of guidance on how to use email lists.
Thank you, that's helpful. I think for me, one more question. If no one else has any more, then we'll close after that. But what do I do if my audience doesn't seem to be reaching the right people?
Yeah, so that's when you have to go, maybe I need to spread it a little bit further. Now, eventually Facebook will find that right audience for you. So in that first stage that we looked at, which was just reach, we were trying to reach as many people as we could with a video. Well, then you can go a lot broader, because what will end up happening is that the people who are not interested just won't watch it. The people who are will. So when you get to that second stage, you're then picking up just the people who are interested, rather than trying to fit that square peg into a round hole and trying to force a cheap palmy down someone who likes fine dining's, mouth. So it's just giving yourself a bit of room there to go, well, I might go broad. I won't set an age limit. I'm not just looking for grey nomads. Let's face it, I think the grey nomads are going to watch, because they're the ones who are interested in this. You can go broad to start with, and then start narrowing down when you're retargeting.
Thank you. Well, it looks like we don't have any more questions today, so let's round it out. Thank you, Dante. That's amazing. Really helpful, really informative. I like the 3-step process too as well. Awareness, consideration, conversion. Really useful. And just a reminder for everybody who's on today that this has been recorded. So what we will do is we'll put it up onto our websites, and we'll flick through a link post presentation to point you in the right direction of where they are housed. Next week, we are hosting Avril Carter, the Australasian sales director from ReviewPro. We've had her previously, and she's back to share about how using ReviewPro can help you understand the customer experience in shaping your business focuses, and also why it matters. So that'll be awesome. Looking forward to that one. And also Anna will be back then as well. A reminder, Veep round 4 is open. It's $1 for $1 tourism grant to help improve existing visitor experiences, pretty much. Get onto that. It's on Tourism NT's website, corporate website. I will share a link as well to that shortly. Also, if you're a quality tourism accredited business, renewals are now open. So you can jump into the portal, do your membership renewal for the accreditation, and off you go. If you also haven't completed the COVID-19 Clean Practicing Business module, also by the Australian Tourism Industry Council, I recommend you do, especially now that we've opened our borders and we have domestic visitation as well from other states. This national level checklist, as well as risk register, which hopefully will assist you and benefit your business, but also you get the credibility through doing that. You get the logos and give confidence to the customers as well. So what I'll do is I'll flick these links to you now. Also, if you'd like to get in contact with Anna or myself in regards to the Business Enterprise Development Program, please use the email there in the chat, or in the slide and closing slide that will show up now. But other than that, thank you very much. Thanks, Dante, again, and see you same time, same place next week. Bye for now.